Hello, welcome to the Millionaire Woman Show, where we'll be discussing leadership, business, and human potential, inspiring you to live rich from the inside out. Unlock your creativity, stretch out of your comfort zone, break through your barriers, take inspired action, and achieve epic results. Now, here's your host, two-time best-selling author, speaker, and certified executive coach, Deborah Kosowski.
Hey. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Millionaire Woman Show, where we talk about principles of leadership, business, and human potential. And today is extra special because my guest I met in 2010. We got to reconnect over lunch in 2012, and we are long overdue for a visit. So today my guest is Lisa Larter. She's the founder of lisalarter.com. She's a business consultant, social media strategist, and speaker. She works with businesses to maximize their profits, scale beyond their dreams using social media, relationship marketing, and dead simple eye-opening systems. She helped increase the visibility and profits for a wide range of clients, including retail groups, authors, realtors, brick and mortar businesses, shopping centers, online entrepreneurs, and her favorite big name advice is Deepak Chopra. His feedback, Lisa, you're the best. And I am so excited to have you. We are long overdue to have this connection. And
I know. I wish we were doing this live in person. It's been too long since I've seen you. Way too long.
So great to just give you a big hug. So here's a virtual one from me.
Yes.
And I haven't been out east, so I would love to come to where you are to check things out.
Well, I'm headed your way this summer, just an FYI.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to that. So I'm going to just jump right in. And I love to ask my guests, what has inspired you to become an entrepreneur?
Poverty. Plain and simple. I mean, I was 12 years old and I wanted a new pair of designer jeans, and my mom couldn't afford designer jeans. We didn't have a lot of money. I was raised by a single parent, and she basically said to me, Lisa, if you want things like that, you're going to have to learn how to make enough money to buy them yourself. And so I did. And I learned that if it was to be, it was up to me. And in life, you can only go so far when you work for somebody else. And I worked in an environment where there was a glass ceiling that was difficult for me to break through. I mean, I had a great corporate job. I worked for TELUS. It was an amazing company to work for. But I had two things working against me. One, I was a woman. And two, I am a high school dropout. So, although I progressed to a relatively senior role and had a lot of responsibility, in order for me to really have the type of life that I wanted, I knew that I needed to run my own business.
So that's what triggered it all.
That's what triggered it.
So what do you like best about being an entrepreneur?
Freedom to do what I want. When you work for somebody else, you use the word someday a lot. Someday we'll vacation down south. Someday we'll buy a rental income property. Someday I'll get a Louis Vuitton bag. Someday I'll drive a really nice car. I don't do some days anymore. That's what I love about being an entrepreneur. If I want to do something, it's like, okay, how can I make this happen? And I just make it happen because I'm in charge. There's nobody to tell me when I have to work or whether I can work X number of hours or Y number of hours. The ultimate responsibility is freedom. And that's my choice, all of it. And that's what I love about entrepreneurship. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the work that I do. I love the people that I work with. But what I love most of all is freedom. Freedom to choose how I want to live my life.
So what was the number one thing that you needed to start doing differently to shift you from someday to actually making that a reality?
It's a really great question because I didn't go full time in my business. Like I didn't leave my secure 6-figure corporate job until 2006. And I used to travel a lot when I worked for TELUS. I had a national scope of responsibility. And one day I was in Sudbury and I was waiting for a flight that had been delayed because of a snowstorm. And I was sitting beside this woman who was waiting for the same flight, and we started to talk. And it turns out that she was from Ottawa, where I lived at the time. And she was up there in Sudbury going to medical school. But it turned out that she was a lawyer who decided she didn't like being a lawyer. And she gave up her partnership in a law firm to go back to school because she wanted to study and practice medicine. And I was like, oh my God, you're so brave. How did you find the courage to do that? Like, who walks away after all that schooling to become a partner in a law firm and decides, I want to be a doctor instead? She said to me, you know what, Lisa? This is what I know. Nobody can ever take away what I know. I'm highly employable. If this doesn't work out, I can always be a lawyer again. And that conversation shifted everything for me. It was like, you know what? If I quit my job and I start a business and it doesn't work out, I am highly employable. And so that was the one thing that really shifted my mindset. If this woman who was a partner in a law firm could walk away from all of that and travel back and forth every week to see her family to pursue her dream, then what the heck was wrong with me?
Wow. That's, you hear that there's lots of sacrifices in that, but at the same time, that leap of faith and knowing that what's the worst case scenario? That she gets a job.
Exactly. And what's the worst case scenario for me? I've been offered tons of jobs, making double what I used to make. And then I'm saying, I don't want a job. I'd rather make less money and have freedom than go back and have a job and be responsible to report into someone else and make way more money.
So tell us what those first 6 months were like when you finally took that leap. What was going on in your mind? What happened at the time? Like, was there automatically this opening up of all these opportunities because suddenly that people saw that Lisa was available?
My first business was a store. I opened a bricks and mortar retail store. I owned a TELUS dealership. And so I would say that, the first 6 months I went through excitement, oblivion, fear, embarrassment, because I opened the store and I was super excited. I'd walk through the doors every day and I had this beautiful store and I couldn't believe that it was mine. And then I was excited and I couldn't believe how hard it was to drive sales because I'd spent all this money doing traditional marketing the way that I saw them do it inside of a corporation. And every single person that walked through the door, when I asked them how they knew about me, said, I shop at the superstore. And I was like, man, I should have spent $25,000 on a kid handing out flyers outside of the superstore instead of on all these ads that didn't work. And then one day I got this bill from TELUS. I owed $100,000 for inventory that I bought over the Christmas season because I opened my store in the middle of November. Well, I didn't exactly have $100,000 in the bank. So then, you're in immediate fear because what the heck are you supposed to do? And so I had to find a solution. I had to eat humble pie, to pick up the phone and find out what I can do, and found out that I could send inventory back. And so I went from being excited and thinking that I knew everything I needed to know about running a business to being scared that I was going to go bankrupt within the first 6 months of opening my business and needing to eat some serious humble pie and learn how to actually run a business instead of run a sales team for a big corporation.
So what did you do differently?
I started managing cash flow fanatically. Like I started, because one thing that corporations do really well is they measure everything. They have reporting coming out the yin yang. And so I immediately learned about cash flow, and I immediately learned about min max levels on inventory. And I started to fanatically pay attention to my numbers and my sales and where people were coming from. And I started to go out and network and meet people in the community and do different things to increase visibility and awareness of my business.
That's a huge shift. Would you describe this as one of your greatest lessons or hardest mistakes to swallow, or is there another situation that had come up for you?
I think the $100,000 in inventory was the biggest, hardest mistake, because when you open a business because you believe that you have what it takes to be successful. You don't walk away from a six-figure income thinking that you're going to fail. And when I got that statement and I saw what I owed, I had this sinking pit in my stomach. And I went home that night and I crawled into bed and I stared at the ceiling and I didn't dare tell my husband because I was so ashamed. Here I have this supportive spouse who believes in me. We have risked, money, basically the equity that we have in our home for me to open this business. And here I am a couple months in and I think I'm on the verge of bankruptcy. It was awful. And the very next morning, I knew I needed to find a solution. I needed to find a way to figure this out. And so I figured it out and I was able to manage it. But that 24-hour period of being so afraid and so embarrassed and feeling like you let somebody down who had confidence in you is probably one of the worst moments in my startup when it comes to entrepreneurship.
So that was one of those rude awakenings, as they call it. How long did it take you to start shifting things around? You started measuring things, you started doing things differently, because as we always know, that if you keep doing the same things, you're going to get the same results. So within 24 hours, you had this huge shift in the actions you were going to take. How long did it take you to make that turnaround so that you could start seeing profit again?
I would say it probably took me about a year, because I immediately knew that I needed to manage my inventory better, but I didn't understand the cash flow piece right away. I didn't get it. And so I had a $30,000 line of credit, and I couldn't understand why I was growing my sales, but I was always in my line of credit. I'd just get out of it and then I'd be deep in it again. So I couldn't understand why I couldn't get ahead. And I remember a friend of mine saying, you have a cash flow problem. And I'd heard that before, but I didn't really know what it meant. And so I started to study cash flow. And then I sat down with my bookkeeper, who used to be a controller at the Lone Star. And I asked him to help me create a system for tracking cash flow. And he created this spreadsheet and he input all of my payments and all of my inflows so that I could see exactly how much money I should have in the bank at any time a year in advance. And I looked at it, I'm like, well, this is great, but I don't really understand. So I took that spreadsheet home, I saved it under a different file name, and I deleted everything, and I did the work myself, because you cannot abdicate responsibility to your bookkeeper or accountant. You have to know. And so it wasn't until that moment when I started inputting the data and I started to see how the numbers would move up and down, and if I actually increased my revenue by this amount and decreased my spending by this amount, how it would trickle through. And I literally went from being $30,000 in my credit line to having 5 figures in my bank account and positioning my store to be able to sell it.
Cool. What is one of the biggest mistakes that you see startup entrepreneurs making?
They trade 4 quarters for $1 all the time. So they buy into the hype from marketing people that you need to reinvest in your business. And that's really just a sales pitch that means hire me. I'll teach you how to run a business. And so they drink that Kool-Aid and they spend every single penny they make. They spend more than what they make. They don't manage their numbers, so they don't really know that they're spending more than what they make. They underprice what their products and services are because they don't understand margins, and they avoid numbers like the plague. And so they literally are starving You know, people, I have worked with people who have been running their business for 5 years and have never paid themselves a penny. And I think, my God, if you can't afford to pay yourself, you bought yourself a job that doesn't pay. Like, why would you do that? And so I think that's the biggest mistake that people make, is they have this mentality that if I could just recoup my spending, well, then you're at zero. So they don't have an abundance mindset, and they don't understand the financial aspects that they need to know in order to create a business that makes a profit. And that's what business is about, turning a profit.
Yeah. So what would you suggest to someone who is building a business off the side of their desk while they're working a day job and they're waiting for that someday to take that big leap? What would you recommend to somebody in that position? That they're working, they're putting aside money, and they know that this is what they're meant to do. What would you tell them?
The first thing I would tell them is to eliminate all of your personal debt. Eliminate your personal debt and get yourself into a situation where you've got a certain number of months worth of cash flow in the bank that you can live off of once you are ready to take the leap. And so I believe that you need 6 to 12 months worth of income in the bank when you decide to give up your job, in order to have the security blanket that you need to give yourself the space and room to really build your business. I also believe that you can't chase two bunnies and catch either one of them. So if you are trying to build a really successful business on the side, it's going to be a lot harder than if you have full focus and effort, or full focus and dedication on building that business. So for me, the first step is, how do you create a nest egg so that you can cut the cord and focus on business growth? And for me, money creates an awful lot of stress in people's lives. And if you are able to open a business and you have minimized all of your debt, so that you don't have credit card debt, you don't have loans, you don't have, the only thing you should have is a monthly payment on your mortgage or your rent where you live. You want to minimize all of your expenditures, and you want to maximize the amount of money that you have in the bank, so that you can give yourself a bit of grace to learn and build your business. But if you don't have the money that you need to give yourself the grace to grow, when you walk away from your job, you're going to be stressed to the max. And I believe that stress affects most people negatively, and therefore they get overwhelmed, they get stuck, and it becomes really hard to grow their business. So if you're going to do it on the side, you need to be really dedicated and disciplined, because most people don't want a part-time business. They want a full-time business. I ran a part-time business. My first business was an organic gift basket business, and I worked one weekend a month, and I made gift baskets for a home builder, and I did about $30,000 a year in sales working part-time. That was my play business, to see if I could actually turn a profit and generate something that was sizable. I mean, $30,000 is nothing to shake your head at. A lot of people don't make $30,000 a year. So when I saw that I could do that part-time, it built my confidence in being able to build something much bigger if I was dedicated full-time.
Great. And I know our listeners that just having them focus on their personal finances, getting that down, getting to a place where you can make that leap and feel comfortable, because often, you have a partner that you want to have support you, but they want to have that reassurance as well. Mm-hmm. So what would you tell your high school self now, after all the experiences you've been through?
That it's okay that you didn't finish. Because I used to carry that around and think that, I don't have a high school diploma. I used to lie on my resume and say that I had finished high school. And I spoke at social media camp a few years ago, and I shared my story, and I talked about, the fact that I didn't finish high school, and that I believe there are many paths to education. And I had a woman come up to me after in tears. And she said, "Thank you so much for sharing that you didn't finish high school. I didn't finish either, but I didn't finish because the person who was molesting me worked at the school. And when she said that to me, I felt like there was a bigger reason why it's important that I share the story. Because I think that a lot of people who don't finish high school carry it around like it's this bad thing that they didn't do. And while I'm not advocating that everyone quits school, I do believe that there are many paths to learning. There are many paths to getting educated. And I have hired a lot of people that have degrees that don't have street smarts, and they don't have common sense, and they don't have good people skills. So, that piece of paper is not as valuable as your character, your values, your drive, your ability to build relationships and connect with people.
And I do know people who haven't finished high school as well. And what I've learned is they have a drive, a work ethic, some of them that, they can outwork anyone and they can start getting results because they put in the effort. Sometimes I think the people who have the degrees or whatever levels, they don't feel that they have the smarts, so they don't feel that the effort needs to be as challenging or push through the breakthroughs as much.
I agree. It's almost like they have a sense of entitlement. I went to school and did this, therefore I am owed. And nobody's owed anything in life. It's great that you have an education. I am not poo-pooing education. I mean, if you look over to the side, I've got hundreds of books. I read at least a book a week. I am a smart person. I just don't have a post-secondary certificate or a high school diploma to say that I'm a smart person. So you've got to be hungry. And, you can't be a nurse without going to school. You can't be a doctor. There's certain professions that if you aspire to, you absolutely positively need to have an education. I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I didn't realize that my decision to not finish high school would have such an impact on my life.
Mm-hmm. So what do you believe your unique ability is, and how can our listeners develop their unique ability?
My unique ability is my ability to strategize and figure out how to generate revenue in business. I'm a fixer. I can walk into any business, any store, restaurant. It doesn't matter what you do. I can sit there and I can look at a business and I can immediately identify what is preventing this organization from growing, where the opportunities are. It's just innate. I know how to do it. And I think because it's so easy and so innate for me that sometimes I take it for granted that everybody else knows how to do what I know how to do. I could look at a financial report and go, that line item's wrong. Let's drill down and figure out what's going on here. And I will uncover something in your business that will transform your business. And I don't know why or how, I just know how to do it. And so what I would say to people is, what is the thing that you just do instinctively? You're just so freaking good at it that you don't even realize that it's your gift. That is the thing that you need to do more of. That is the thing people will pay you for. And you need to learn how to nurture and value that thing and not diminish it because it's easy for you. Because what's easy for me may not be easy for you. But you may wish that you could do what I do. So I cannot diminish the value of what my gift is because it's my gift.
So how do people find their gift? Like, how do they discover it? Like, when people have it come so naturally to them that they don't notice. And what I've heard you're saying is, it kind of made me laugh right away, because it was when you had that profit loss statement, you took it upon yourself to go in and figure out all the numbers. And now you can walk in and you can pinpoint somebody else's. And I think that is so cool. That's something that was not your strength.
Oh, but no, that's not right.
Okay.
I was always good at reporting. I was always good at numbers. Okay. What I didn't understand was cash flow.
Okay.
I didn't understand the timing of the movement of money.
Oh.
And so for me, that was just one component that I didn't get. But even in my retail days or my corporate days, I always knew how to move the needle. I always knew how to, when I worked at retail, I was the fixer. I went from underperforming store to underperforming store to underperforming store and turned them around because it was easy. So I think success leaves clues. And so if you don't know what you're good at, start paying attention to the things that you do that you're good at. Start paying attention to the things people ask you for help with. Start paying attention to the things that you love to do so much you would do it for free. Because I have to actually make myself say, yes, I can help you with that, and this is what it will cost. Because it's so easy for me that I could give it away for free all day long because I know how to do it. But free is too expensive. People don't value free. And so when you put a price on it, if I let you come spend a day with me for free and we talk about how to grow your business and you walk away with a plan, you may not execute. But if you invest $10,000 to spend a day with me, you have skin in the game. You're going to take it seriously and you're going to take action because you don't want to lose that money. So you have to pay attention to what is it that you're really good at, and then you need to find the courage and the confidence to get paid for it.
So it's that courage and confidence piece that a lot of times people hold themselves back. What is something that held you back at first? Like I know you talked about being the high school dropout. That was something that you carried with you for a long time. What helped you develop the courage and confidence to just go after things, use that unique ability, and just jump right in to start moving that needle?
Well, the conversation that I told you about helped me. I think what helped me was doing things that I was uncomfortable with. And the other thing that helped me is I would look around and I would see other people doing things and go, I want to do that. So you and I met at eWomen Network.
Yeah.
In 2010.
Yep.
And I went there and I went, I want to speak on that stage. I want to do that. But I had never done that before. So I just decided I want to do that. And I'm going to do the work that it takes to get there. And so I think that confidence comes as a result of putting yourself in uncomfortable situations and learning how to do the very thing that you are uncomfortable with. That's how you build confidence. But most people think that you have to have confidence in order to have courage. And I disagree. I think you have to have courage in order to build confidence. And so I have a lot of courage. I'm not afraid to ask questions and look stupid. I'm not afraid to try new things that I've never done before. I'm not afraid to tell somebody I'm afraid. I'm not afraid to ask for help. And so because I have courage, I will overcome the things that scare the crap out of me. And that builds my confidence muscle so that the next time something scares the crap out of me, I'm not as afraid because I know that I've overcome stuff before.
And I think that's what I love about you the most. Is I've watched you grow over the years that I've known you, and it's been phenomenal to see you just really step into who you're meant to be in. And I can't wait for the future to see how much more you even grow, because it's been phenomenal. I love watching what you're doing.
Thank you.
So what is your secret to turning connections into paying customers?
How do I turn connections into paying customers? I would say that people buy from people they know, like, and trust. And so if you don't know I exist, you can't choose me. But once you know I exist, you need to like and respect me. And like and respect are really important to me. And that's why I create a lot of content, because content establishes credibility. So there are people listening or watching this podcast right now, and some of them are like, oh, I really like her. She's so down to earth. She's quirky. She's this, she's that. And other people are like, who is this woman? She's a little bit crazy. The second group are not my peeps. The first group are my peeps. So I am constantly trying to lead with value by offering information that can help other people. And that's how I establish my credibility, is by sharing what I know. And so when people know me, they like me, they respect me, and they trust me, then they naturally want to do business with me. But I don't try to sell to people who don't know me, like me, or trust me. I don't use spray and pray marketing tactics. I have built my business one person at a time, one relationship at a time. I get messages from people that I don't even know, that have never even said hello to me, trying to sell me stuff on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter all this time. And I'm like, dude, you don't even know who I am. Like, somebody sent me a message yesterday on LinkedIn. It's not too late to start planning for your 2017 taxes. I'm like, girlfriend, my taxes are done. I already know what I owe for 2018 or for 2017. Leave me alone. Like, I am so on top of that. But if you actually took 2 seconds to learn who I am, you would know that.
Yeah.
So, for me, it's you turn connections into customers. You turn connections into referral sources by showing up and demonstrating credibility over and over and over again. And you need to be consistent. A lot of people, they start a blog, they start Facebook live streaming, they start using social media, and they're inconsistent. We don't trust inconsistency.
Mm-hmm.
We trust CNN because they show up every single day and they tell us stories over and over and over again, right? They're consistent. But can you imagine if CNN was on today and then they were off for a couple of days with no explanation, and then they came back on and then they were off for a couple of days? All of a sudden, you wouldn't trust CNN as your go-to news source because they're inconsistent. But we expect people to trust us in our business with inconsistent behavior all the time. And we wonder why people don't buy from us. So I am a master at being consistent in how I show up.
And the other thing with your consistency, you're also tapping into those core values. I like how you talked about that respect and, that likability piece. But the core values of who you are, what you believe in, also must align with the people that you're working with.
Yes. I will say no to money if your values don't align with me.
Yeah.
I absolutely will. I will fire people. I will not work with people whose values don't align with mine. I've had lots of people want to hire me because they just want to know, how do I get 100,000 Twitter followers? And I'm like, I'm not your girl. They go buy a bot. That's not what I do. And I have started working with people who have tons of money, but they don't respect me and my team. And I've said, see ya, we're not the right fit. So values are really, really important to me. I tell my clients I love them. They tell me they love me. Somebody texted me, a client of mine texted me yesterday and said, has anybody told you you're a genius yet today? And I said, as a matter of fact, somebody did earlier. Like, my clients and I have great relationships. That's what I want. That's why my business brings me so much joy.
Yeah. And I think too many times people are like just working with anyone just so that they can have that money coming in. And that's such a huge mistake. And I've even learned that in my business. Initially, when I first started, it was like, oh yeah, I can help you. Oh yeah, I can help you. And then you could just feel it. You could just feel the energy. And even though you were still putting in your best effort, the relationship was not taking off. And it's like, you know what? I bless you and I let you go.
Yeah. People chase money and they compromise their integrity for money, and money can't buy your integrity back. And the other thing I say is, you can be good at a lot of things, but that doesn't mean that you have to get paid for all of them. I make really, really awesome Thai food, but I'm not opening a restaurant.
Yeah. Well, it's good to know that. I'm having a Thai cooking class at my home here in a few weeks.
I make a mean red curry. It's really good.
Oh, awesome. So what are 3 simple lessons that you can share when it comes to networking online or in person?
Lesson number 1, context. I posted a selfie of my dog and I recently, and it was an unfiltered selfie. And so you could see these little lines on my forehead. And I actually looked at the selfie before I posted it and thought, I should put a filter on that. And then I thought, no, you know what? This is what you really look like. So no filter. And I posted it. 5 minutes later, somebody sent me a message and offered to send me some skincare products with a bunch of before and after pictures that would eliminate lines.
Oh my gosh.
That same person offered to send me skincare samples the day my dog died.
Oh no.
And so context means that you're not paying attention to what's going on with people when you're networking. It's all about you. And so I have an acronym in my book that's called Be Swift. And SWIFT stands for see what's in it for them. We live in a with them society. What's in it for me, 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 me? Oh my God, she's got wrinkles on her forehead. I must fix her. That's what's in it for you because you want to sell me something. I didn't say that I have a problem with the wrinkles on my forehead. I didn't ask you, do you have any cream that might get rid of the wrinkles on my forehead? So don't sell me something that I don't want. So number one is context. We are an open book. There is so much information that you can read to learn about the person that you're trying to sell to. Take a moment and learn about them before you try to pitch your product. So that's number one. Number two, talked about this earlier, but be consistent. I do not subscribe to the philosophy that you need to be on every single social network all the time. I love Gary Vaynerchuk, but I do not subscribe to the hustle hard 16 hours a day philosophy. That is not my philosophy. I think you need to pick a couple of places where you're going to market your business and you are going to show up to build relationships and network, and you are going to talk to people, and you need to be consistent about using those platforms over and over and over again so that you can actually go deep in those platforms versus go wide and be everywhere but have very little depth. So, be consistent and be discerning about where you show up. Number three is the really important one. I teach people that there is a ceiling of trust that you will reach when you are interacting with people online. And once you break through the ceiling of trust, you can generate much larger sales and much larger referrals from those people. But the ceiling of trust is when you turn your online connections into in-person opportunities. There is no substitution for meeting people face-to-face, belly-to-belly, eye-to-eye. When we see people and we interact and we hug and we shake hands, you feel their energy differently than the persona that we share online. So if you really want to take your business to the next level, you've got to integrate in-person connections with your online community.
That is so true. I'm just thinking about how when I walk into a networking event, and this has probably happened to you as well, that all of a sudden they're like, oh my gosh, you're just like who you are online. And I'm like, well, I certainly hope so.
But have you ever met someone who's not? Have you ever met someone who is so photoshopped online that they don't even look like them? Have you ever met somebody who's like really bold and has a lot of bravado online, and then you shake their hand and it's like a dead fish? There are a lot of people faking it online. And when you meet them in person, you're like, oh, you're not really who you pretend to be. What people say to me when they meet me is, oh, you look like your picture. Oh, you're exactly the way, I perceive you online. That's a good thing. But there is always a little bit of trust that people distrust, right? Until somebody's met you in person, they're not 100% sure if you're really who they think you are. That's why I host an event every year and have 350 people come, because I want people to meet me in person. Yeah. Every single sale, all of the largest sales that I've ever closed in my business, I have either been referred by someone who has met me in person, or I have met the people in person.
Yeah, makes a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
So
you can't hide behind your keyboard and be a keyboard cowboy and expect to grow a huge business.
I've never heard that before, keyboard cowboy. I'm going to keep that one in my back pocket. So what is one word you live by, your mantra?
The word that I don't have a word that I live by. The one that just came up for me when you asked that question was ease. I don't believe in stressing myself to the max. I want to build a business with ease. I want to have ease in the relationships. I want to have ease in my life. I don't want things to be really, really, really hard. And so I choose to do things with ease. And I choose to believe that I can build my business with ease.
That's awesome. And do you find that you have a theme every year, or is this something that word that kind of flows with you all the time?
That word has flowed with me for a long time, because at one point in my business, I felt like I was working really hard. And I decided that I wanted to build my business with ease, and that I wanted it to be easier to grow. I didn't want to subscribe to all of the practices that people say you should do online. I didn't want to be the way that other people tell me I should be. I had what I would call guru fatigue. I was subscribed to too many lists, listening to too many people tell me all the things that I should do. And so I ended up shitting all over myself and not really enjoying it. And so I decided, you know what? I don't need them to tell me how to build my business. I am responsible for me. I will choose how to build my business, and I am choosing to build my business with ease.
That makes a big difference, because I think that shitting on yourself, people feel so much guilt that they put themselves in a position of sabotaging what they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us more about the pilot project and your book that you were showing us.
Yeah, well, my book is basically my system, right? It's how you build a business online. It's how you use modern marketing to grow your business and create a life you love and a business you love and make the money you want. The pilot project was an idea that I had in the shower a number of years ago, because people used to hire me for social media. People wanted to know, how do you use Facebook? How do you use Twitter? How do you use LinkedIn? And technology is super easy for me because I come from a technology background. And I used to teach people how to use Facebook to get clients. But, you know, for me, it's always about strategy. And so I always wanted to know what's going on in your business. What is the business model? How do you make money? What are your numbers? All of those things were the pieces of information that I needed to be able to help them with a proper social media marketing strategy. And one day I just had this idea that people wanted to learn business foundations. They wanted to learn, you know, how to create a proper business model or a revenue model. They wanted to learn how to track their numbers. They wanted to learn how to price things. They wanted to learn how to hire and how much to spend and how to create profit and how to have difficult conversations with customers, employees, subcontractors, vendors. And so I created the pilot project, and I think we've had over 500 people go through the program, which is incredible. And everybody who takes it loves it because, you know, it's an amazing community. And when you buy the pilot project, you become a lifetime member. And so every time we run it, you get to go through it again, and you get to see the progress that you're making from year to year in your business.
Very, very cool. So how can people stay in touch with you?
Go to my website, lisalarter.com.
Excellent. And, you know, the podcast is available on video. So if you'd like to watch it on video, and it's going to on iTunes and Stitcher and SoundCloud. And I am so grateful to have spent this time with you, Lisa. And, you know, the growth and the ideas and the strategies that you put out there all the time, you are giving high value. And I want to thank you for being that gift and sharing your unique ability with everyone. And make sure that you go, it's on Amazon as well. It's Pilot to Profit. If you can just hold it up one more time so they can see the cover.
Yeah. And if you go to lisalarter.com/book, you'll find it.
Excellent.
At all your different bookstores.
Excellent. So thank you for being our guest. One final question I just want to leave you with is, what is one game-changing book that has changed the way you think about life and your business?
Oh, one? Oh, that's a hard one for me because I read all the time. So I'll show you what I'm reading right now. And I'm loving this book because I am a planner. And I love to take projects and plan them, but I also love to procrastinate. And this book has taught me a really effective 12-week way of taking a big idea and breaking it down into 12 weekly steps so that I can actually get it done. So I am using this book with my private coaching clients and my group coaching clients right now. So this is the book of the day. But honestly, if you go to my blog, you go to lisalarter.com and you just type books into the search bar. Every year I publish a list of 10 books that have impacted my business that year.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. And I think that is, so important. And too many people think, they left high school and here you are, that you have a whole library of books. And I like to say, I have a whole shelf here too. So great minds think alike. But I think people forget that they need to continue that learning process, and that, they can read, they can attend all these conferences and seminars, but if they're not implementing, taking those strategies, and I love how you're already utilizing them with your clients in your own life to really help people get what they need, and that return on investment, because as you're growing, you're able to help your clients grow even faster.
Yes, exactly.
So thank you for being our guest. And I'm just going to throw one more thing, just because it keeps coming to me when I have you here with me. I want to just seize the time. What is one piece of advice or one action step that you would tell our listeners to take right now?
One action step that people should take right now?
Yeah. What is something that that people could be holding back on, that if they just did this one thing, that they will start seeing a difference in their life?
The one thing that I would tell people is go someplace quiet without any technology, with a pen and a piece of paper, and write out what you want your life to look like 5 years from now. Because I think part of the reason that some people are not driven to do the work, to read the books, to take the action, is because they lack clarity on what they really want in life. And the reason that they don't have that clarity is because we live in an ADD society where we are constantly on our phones and we're constantly in front of our screens, and the TV is on and people are vying for our attention. And most people never take quiet time to just think about, what do you want for your life? Not anybody else, you. And so that would be the thing that I think could really inspire somebody the most, is get quiet and clear about what you really want.
I totally agree with you. And sometimes I even get caught up in that as well. And I think all of us do, to a point that you can get easily caught up in the whirlwind of life, and just taking that simple thing of stepping aside and sitting down with a journal and writing out what you would love it to be like can really shift what you're doing. So thank you so much for that. Everyone, that's been a wrap for the Millionaire Woman Show. Remember to go to lisalarter.com. She is one phenomenal woman, and you want to check out the Pilot to Profit Project book. Check it out, Amazon, on her website. You need to stay in touch with Lisa. She is a game changer, and I love the work that she does. That respect, I'm like, love Lisa. So to share that with you. And we're so excited that you were able to join us. Go over to iTunes, write us a review, give us that 5-star high five, send me an email or send one to Lisa to let her know what nuggets of this interview have really shifted your thinking about the approach that you're going to take in your business, your life, and really take it to the next level. Because we do this interviewing and sharing so that we can help you. This is part of our role in the world, to really help you achieve and step into the potential that you're meant to be in. So we would love to hear from you. You can also go to my website and get your free download of the 10 surefire strategies that you can produce productivity and your performance. And it's free. It's an audio that you can listen to as you go. And we look forward to seeing you on the next podcast, or hearing from you when you're at the gym, whether you're driving the car. We are just excited that you're here to join us. Go out and be the change you wish to see in the world, as Mahatma Gandhi said, and go out and make today great. Thanks so much, everyone.